Good morning. I've been meaning to do this diary and update of my treatment because a lot of people have been asking. It's really hard to keep up with everyone. So if I haven't responded or updated you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do it a better job now. I guess I'll just start with the beginning. I had cancer 5 years ago. Everyone knows this, I think. I was 2 days out from my 5-year anniversary, where theoretically they say once you hit that, you're basically clear, like statistically speaking. But February, I got COVID and also had a root canal flare up. And March, I started feeling in my ribs, like a rib shifting, and I couldn't figure out why it kept shifting out of place. I kept going to the chiro and getting it put back in. So they asked me, so I went to go get imaging finally. I was like, something's wrong here. Maybe there's a fracture or something. Well, when I got an x-ray, well, first of all, that doctor, I came in and he basically told me I need to stop training. And that's why my ribs hurt. And I'm like, okay, but I haven't really trained in 6 weeks. Like, something's wrong here. And he's like, well, you need longer to stop training. And he was basically just dismissing me. I'm like, all right, so how about if we just get an x-ray on these ribs so I can see what's really going on? Jerk. Anyway, so we got the x-ray and they found a 3 centimeter mass in my right lung. So then they're like, well, we need to make sure that's what it is. You need to have a CAT scan. I'm like, okay, with contrast. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Well, we don't have any contrast. There's a shortage. So I'm like, okay, when do I come back? And they're like, try again in a few days. So I'm calling every day. Do you have any? Do you have any? And apparently there was some nationwide shortage. So that was the issue. I finally call in the morning and say, do you have it? They said yes, but I would hurry because they're going quickly. So I get there and the nurse, I go through everything and the nurse is like, sorry, we don't have any contrast. We can't do your scan. I'm just like, I drove an hour to get here. Like, I called first, like, is there anything that can be done? And a doctor was going by and he overheard and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I am a cancer survivor. I'm having some issues with my ribs. When I try to take a deep breath, I'm having some trouble breathing. It's like I can't get a full expansion of the ribs because of whatever's going on there. And he's like, we're gonna get your scan right now. So apparently they had some in storage or something for emergencies. And thankfully they agreed to use it on me. And that's when they found that I had a lot going on there. So I ended up going to, trying to contact my oncologist that I'd been with for 5 years, and he wouldn't talk to me. He referred me to a different doctor, which was super weird. And I felt really kind of abandoned. Like, we had a really good relationship. I'd seen him every 6 months for the last 5 years, so that was really weird. But get to a new oncologist, I meet her, and she wants to send me for scans, so she sent me to a PET scan. And we get that back, and then she says, okay, well, we need a biopsy of the tumors. So the biopsy, I had to be face down in a CAT scan machine, and they did a needle biopsy for that 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter tumor on the back of my lung. It went between my 7th and 8th ribs. It wasn't bad, like there wasn't any pain or anything. It was pretty quick. So the biopsy came back that the tumor was actually breast cancer that had come back and metastasized, and all the scans showed that I have about 20 tumors. They are throughout my lungs, my pleura around the rib cage, my diaphragm, my L3 and L5, and my ileum on the left, and looks like there's a little on my liver. It's hard to tell. So I go back to the oncologist, and she basically says, there's no cure for this, and we're just going to keep you on drugs that are we're going to put you on a drug that's going to suppress your estrogen, put you into menopause. And then we have this other drug we give you that pretty much keeps all of your hormones completely suppressed, your estrogen and progesterone, so that the tumors will shrink. And basically there's no cure, so we just keep you on chemo forever and try to keep you comfortable until you die. This will eventually kill you. So for some reason I didn't freak out about all this. I still don't understand why. People don't get it. I don't get it. I haven't cried. I cried once after meeting with my work to talk about options for me leaving and what that's going to look like. other than that, I've had a couple of teary moments, you know, but no real crying. I just feel okay. I feel good. I feel good emotionally, spiritually. It's kind of odd, but I'm grateful. So anyway, back to my treatment plan. So the doctors tell me we need to get you approved for this drug that's going to put you in menopause and shrink the tumors. So I go to the Mayo Clinic for another opinion. He says, this is the drug you need. This is the one I really think you should take. And, excuse me. So I tell my regular oncologist, this is what we want. She puts the order in, and the insurance company rejected it. They said that, I guess that there needed a letter saying that a reason why I want this drug. And the reason that I do want it is because it has a longer life expectancy, the longest of its class for premenopausal women, which is, I guess, 5 years. And there's also less adverse reactions. So, and they have all these testing, they call it the Mona Lisa tests. So they have these testing for long-term use and really favorable results, but it's more expensive. Like, it costs the insurance company about $15,000 a month. So the insurance company rejected it. I go back to the doctor and they say, sorry, they rejected it. Here's this other drug, which is less good. So I'm like, no, I don't think that's going to work for me. So I called the insurance company and they said, well, actually the doctor submitted it wrong. They said, no, there's no reason you should be on this one over the other two. So I go back to the doctor. This is what they said. They said, oh, well, what do you want us to do? I'm like, can you resubmit it correctly? Can you tell them why it needs to be me? And they're like, what do you want us to say? And I'm like, Jesus. So I went back to the Mayo doctor, got his language, put it into a letter, sent it to the doctor. They sent it to the insurance company, and the insurance company approved it. So that was a win. And then I go back to the oncologist. I'm like, okay, now what? Well, now we need to give you a shot. It's like an infusion, but it's for the bone metastasis. But if you have any kind of dental work that needs to be done, it'll cause necrosis of the jaw. So you need a letter signed by the dentist saying that you are clear for this drug. And coincidentally, right then, that root canal I had in the second tooth from the back on the top, it started acting up and hurting. I'm like, great. So it turns out I call the dentist, like, I need this drug. I have to start my treatment. We're going on 2 months now. Like, what's going on? And he's like, we're all filled up and I have to leave for a conference, but let me see what I can do. And he basically, like, stayed after, kept the office open, worked on me for 3 hours with my mouth open to remove this root canal. Amazing that he was able to do that and run right out and go to his flight because he was going to miss it for his conference. Super great dentist. He's here in Sanford. What is it, Dr. Davis? Hold on. I'll get back to you on that. My brain is scrambled. Anyway, so then I get back to the doctor and I'm like, okay, I have this letter. We're good. We got this removed. And they said, oh, it's Dr. Edwards. Anyway, so we got this removed. Now I can start my treatment. And they're like, well, now we need to wait 6 weeks before we can start treatment because it has to heal. And I'm like, oh my God, would you not have told me that on day one to get this taken care of so that when all these testing and all this stuff was, finally done, I could actually start. Anyway, so that's one part. That's the bone metastasis part. I find out I can wait on that. That's okay. I just really need to start on the actual ones that are supposed to shrink the tumors. So they're like, well, now we're waiting on approval for this shot we have to give you that shuts down your ovaries. It's Zoladex, I think it's called. And I'm like, okay, so I have my Kisqali, which is the pills that I'm supposed to take. I have it. I'm waiting on okay to take it. And they're like, well, we still haven't gotten approval. It's like 2 weeks later, still no approval. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So today I hear we got approval for the shot, and that'll be a Wednesday. But because all this was taking so long and because the oncologist kept on really dragging their feet, not doing things optimally, I was like doing the work for them to get approvals. I decided to meet with a new oncologist today. So that's today, this afternoon, in Winter Park. I'm excited about it. He comes really highly recommended. In the meantime, I've also met with a holistic oncologist, and It's Daniel Thomas in Mount Dora, and he is amazing. After 2 hours of him going over all my blood work, we did 12 vials of blood. He went very granular into each of the markers in my blood that are why things are happening and how we're going to fix it and how we're going to kill the cancer. And I told him I don't like the idea that even if all this shrinks my cancer and it's gone and there's no evidence of disease, they call that NED, why do I need to stay on chemo for the rest of my life? If this chemo is hampering my blood marrow production, it will shut down my white and red blood cell count, so I can't really have infections. Like, my body can't fight it, so I'd have to have a thermometer, and if my temperature reaches 100, I need to call the doctor because my body can't fight infection. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna live for this for the rest of my life. So I asked Dr. Thomas about it, and he said, well, I think the plan right now should be that we use these drugs along with the natural methods, which is doing keto, vegan, intermittent fasting, which means for a short time during the day, basically from 12 to 8 p.m., I can have vegetables and no animal products, because all animal products have methionine, which feeds these tumors, and then we're trying to starve them. Anyway, going through this and using these drugs to kill this cancer, to get us to a point of no evidence of disease, then there are some other infusions with vitamin C and antibiotics that are proven to kill the cancer's stem cells, which there's really not a lot of that going on in non-holistic medicine right now, apparently. I mean, they're studying it, but nothing's been approved. And he said, if we kill the stem cells, then we don't need to keep you on chemo, and then we'll just keep monitoring. But as of now, every 3 months, I'll have a PET scan. I'll see what's working, what's not. And then if the drug stops working, I go back to Mayo Clinic, and they'll enroll me in some trials. And they'll keep switching up the drugs to find what does work. And in the meantime, I'm doing all kinds of natural stuff. They have me on metformin to keep my blood sugar from spiking so that we don't get those glucose spikes to feed the tumors. I'm on ivermectin, which has shown combining it with certain things, a lot of other supplements that I'm taking can kill breast cancer cells. And then I'm on a ton of things, odd things that I wouldn't have even thought of. Like there's this specific type of peroxide I have to drink twice a day. Well, I put a teaspoon in 4 ounces of water and drink that twice a day. But there's research behind all of it. And I'm looking at buying an EWOT system, EWOT, that's exercise with oxygen training. And so I'll do cardio with that once or twice a day because that oxygen is really good for fighting off the cancer and for, my lung health and energy, mitochondria, everything. So I'm doing a lot, and that's part of the reason I haven't freaked out for being 2.5 months later and having no real treatment because I'm doing a lot of things naturally and on my own to make sure that I'm doing everything I can on this end. But today I should have some more news, and I'm super excited with this new oncologist that's very highly recommended. So I was on my walk this morning, and I'm all like happy and grateful and feeling loved and excited about it. And some guy comes up, and he's holding out a $50 bill. And I'm like, what is this about? What is this for? And he's like, are you happy? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I want you to have this. And I was like, thanks, happier now. But it's true what they say, man. If you have good energy and you're grateful, and stuff just comes to you, and it's been happening left and right. And I plan to keep updating when they do happen, because I think it's awesome for people to hear about them, to give them hope, and just help keep you positive, because those negative emotions and thoughts are part of what makes people sick, and that's what we're getting away from here. Anyway, I will keep posting you guys because I've had so many requests, and I really appreciate all the support and the love. And gosh, coming from even people I haven't talked to since kindergarten, it's amazing, and it means a lot. And feeling loved and gratitude and all that is so much goes toward healing. So I really want to thank everyone for doing all that. Anyway, if anyone has any questions, anyone going through similar, wants to talk, any of that, feel free to reach out. Sending out my love to everybody, and thanks again for everything.